Hello and welcome to Astrology Explained. Today I would like to talk about two signs, Scorpio, Virgo, and how they relate to immortality, death, and sex. So the sign Virgo, right, we discussed that it's the sign of silence, secrets, and thought, but it's also this sign of perfection. Now, the top half of the zodiac, as we discussed, the masculine half begins with Virgo, which is silence, but it's also perfection. Now I want to address something. Why do we consider men, for example, why do we consider them dominant? Well, it's because they're perfect in their ways. Now, this isn't always true. There are bad men, there are good men, there are good women, bad men. But if we're looking at just for the sake of understanding what's being said here, men are dominant because they're both strong and smart, right? We have a head on our shoulders, but we're also strong and confident, right? Now, Scorpio, which, by the way, they both share the M, which we'll discuss later. The M also rules snakes, and we'll discuss that later. But Scorpio is the sign of death, sex, and rebirth. So where do these two fit in, right? Where does death and sex fit in? Well, I'm going to give you an anecdote. When I was in a biology class in high school, they asked us, what is the meaning of life? And we had to write down an answer. So naturally, me being in a biology classroom, I gave a biology answer. I said the meaning of life was to reproduce. And I wasn't far off, but there's more to it. Now, the sun, right, represents gold, right? So if you study alchemy, the sun is gold and the moon is silver, right? Silver. Gold, right, is the number one, right? It's perfection, it's dominance, right? And so it makes sense for the sun, the father, the masculine energy to be born from perfection. Another thing that we need to discuss is the moon, which is silver. Right? The moon, it rules the mother, the home, feelings, but also memory. The moon rules the mother, home, feelings, and also memory. So why is the moon, which is the opposite of the sun, on the top half? Well, because men have a need to be remembered. Right? They have a need to be remembered. It's the reason we exist. We want to leave something behind before our inevitable destruction. So this is where Scorpio comes in, right? The Scorpio is a very destructive sign, right? It rules death. The death is the ultimate form of destruction, right? So what Scorpio does, it tries to destroy the natural perfection that mankind has, right? And how does it do this? It does it through sex, right? Why do we reproduce? It's because we want to leave something behind before we die. Right, so what's happening is this destructive Scorpio force, right, which is found on the bottom half of the zodiac, right, it's trying to destroy man, right? Another thing I want to talk about is Scorpio's brightest star is, here, I'll write it here, is Antares. Which translates literally to anti-Mars. So what is this telling us about the nature of Scorpio? It's that it tries to oppose, it tries to create something other than man, right? It tries to destroy man, right? Scorpio rules two planets, Pluto and Mars, right? Death is the ultimate form of power, right? Pluto equals power. So what we find is that Pluto, it gains power through destruction. It tries to destroy this perfection that man has created. Now, what I want to also point out is why is man perfect? And that is because of the sun. The sun functions on the principle of now, right? All of astrology, if you look at the sun sign, right, it's where are the planets and the sun now? Where are they right now? And so it's able to kind of create fame. So the sun also rules fame. When we think of Hollywood, right, we think of the Hollywood stars, right? What do we call them? We call them stars. The sun is a star. So men have this ability, right, the masculine energy, it has this ability to immortalize itself. And this is what death knows, right? You think of death as the Grim Reaper, right? All black, dressed in all black. He comes with the scythe, right? If you look at the stories of death, right? So dressed in all black comes, and death comes to us because it knows that we have the ability to be immortal, right? And this is for women too. Anyone can be famous. I mean, if you're great, anyone can be famous, right? So this ability to immortalize ourselves is what scares death. Right? The Grim Reaper knows you're going to die, so he tries to entice you with sex, right? Right? The reason we reproduce is because we're going to die. But if you look at some of the greatest minds, right? Like Nikola Tesla, you look at Isaac Newton, you look at Einstein, look at all these great minds. What do they all have in common? They're so antisocial. They're very antisocial, but they're famous. We remember them for like years and years, right? When was the last time Isaac Newton was alive? I don't even know. It was a long, long time ago. But we remember them, right? Because men, right, behind the sun is the moon, right? Not necessarily behind it, but the emotions are behind the sun, right? So the sun rules our ability to project ourselves out into the world, right? It cares about the now, what's happening right now. And the moon, which is our inner feelings, right? It shows that mankind, men, people who do great things, they do it out of the need to be remembered. They want to go down in history as one of the greats. They want to be famous, right? And so, yeah, that's all for today. I just wanted to recap, right? Perfection is masculine, right? We have the ability to immortalize ourselves. Death knows that. The Grim Reaper knows that. And he tries to use sex to entice us to do work and to become slaves to our lust, essentially. So one of mankind's greatest abilities is to immortalize itself.